So at this point, it feels like people are definitely backtracking on the whole Nintendo Switch Pro thing because there was a new rumor from Digital Foundry that claims that there was a mid-generation Nintendo Switch refresh planned or Nintendo Switch Pro, but now that's not happening and Nintendo is opting for a Nintendo Switch 2. And once again, definitely feels like people are backtracking off of this same thing that I exactly said would happen multiple times on this channel and also on other channels as well, because I felt that a Nintendo Switch Pro wasn't feasible considering the market conditions, and it seems like that was not necessarily the most popular take out there. Got quite a bit of backlash from some people, but that's okay because ultimately it seemed like that was the right thing. I was speaking from my own knowledge of the situation, and I was speaking also from just what is happening in the market, and it seems now that we actually have somebody who is at least somewhat credible putting out some information on the next generation Nintendo Switch or what Nintendo is going to be doing. Now, I learned my lesson last time when it comes to Digital Foundry and Eurogamer. Their information is usually pretty good. They don't say things unless they actually heard it from somewhere. Now, they're not 100% right. They don't get everything correct, but I learned my lesson last time with the Nintendo Switch when that was happening, and I'm definitely not going to make the same mistake twice, but it's easier this time because I actually feel and have heard the same type of thing that we're going to talk about right now. Let's go and let's get into it here. So on Nintendo Everything, they put a write-up about it, but this was from the Digital Foundry podcast. This is from John Lindman. They were talking about different things, and I wanted to go over what he had to say in particular because I find it very interesting overall, and I want to give you guys a breakdown of what the situation is going to be and how everything is probably going to be working out. So, rumors of a more powerful Nintendo Switch, often dubbed this mysterious Nintendo Switch Pro, has been happening since 2019. I mean, we've been hearing about it for like 4 calendar years plus about a Nintendo Switch Pro. None of that ever materialized. Nothing was ever happening. All we got was a Nintendo Switch OLED, which does improve the build quality, does improve the memory in the system, does improve the screen quality. So you have some really cool features, but it doesn't actually improve the power of the system with memory bandwidth or even RAM or anything that would affect the games per se. Or at least that's the thing with it. So it's just a really nice upgrade. So nothing ever happened, right? We didn't get any type of technical improvements or anything like that so far. So Digital Foundry's John Lemon has now weighed in on what is going on in the latest podcast that they had. And after speaking with developers, according to him, he does believe that Nintendo at one point was going to do a Nintendo Switch hardware refresh, or they are toying around with the idea. However, it seems to no longer be happening, and the company is apparently pursuing a true successor, and this is because of market conditions in terms of why that Switch Pro or that mid-gen refresh didn't happen. So let's get into what he had to say here. Quote, "So I think at one point internally, from what I can understand from talking to different developers, is that there was some sort of mid-generation Switch update planned at one point, and that seems to no longer be happening. And thus, it's pretty clear that whatever they do next is going to be the actual next generation hardware. I don't think it's going to be 2023. And that's also very important to add in there. He doesn't think it's going to be 2023, and that's based off of what he's spoken with the developers, because it seems like it's a little bit further off since it's not a mid-gen refresh. Obviously, this is well past mid-gen at this point because I don't see the Nintendo Switch being available on the market, being supported for another calendar 6 years. So it's well past mid-gen at this point. But yeah, 2023 says that he doesn't feel or doesn't think it's going to be 2023, and that's based off of talking to these developers, which is what I've been saying, that I don't feel 2023 they are going to release the thing. Maybe they actually talk about it, but they're probably not going to release it in 2023 just because it's not ready when it comes to software and all that. And we're going to discuss that because I find it very interesting to hear what some Nintendo fans have to say about things and what others have to say about it and why people actually buy Nintendo hardware in the first place. It seems like there is a big mental block with some people, and they don't realize, despite it being very obvious, why most people, the casual consumer, everybody usually buys Nintendo hardware. So we're going to talk about that in just a bit. Now, there is a little bit more that Nintendo Everything did summarize, and I do want to read what they had to say here. So Lemon would go on to say that in his view, Nintendo is likely nervous about transitioning to what will come next after Switch, given past generations. After the GameCube didn't do too well, we saw Wii, which sold over 100 million units. However, with Wii U, which came next, it was one of Nintendo's worst selling systems. The company is now back on top again with Switch, which is one of its best selling consoles ever. That has been a little bit of a pattern with one system doing well and the next one taking a step back. So the reason why I think that this is kind of just conjecture in terms of what he's saying here is because any smart business person within Nintendo's quarters at this point would know exactly why the Wii U didn't do well and what happened there. And I don't think Nintendo's necessarily nervous, because Nintendo has the almighty trump card with them, and that is all of their games on one platform. I don't think Nintendo's necessarily nervous, because they know that whenever they launch their next system, whatever the case is, it's not going to be split between a portable market and a console market. That was the biggest problem with the Wii U and the GameCube and systems that didn't do well. And Game Boy players or Super Game Boys and all that type of stuff does not make up for unique software built for that system in terms of the graphics and the capabilities and what the system can do. Anytime that Nintendo has had all of their big franchises and have done a great job on the portables, they've done really well. Now, if you mix that together with the traditional home console games, stuff like Xenoblade and other titles like that, you get a system that's always going to do pretty much well. I've never seen Nintendo have all of their big guns on a system and not do well. And that's the reason why the Nintendo Switch has done so well, is because it has Animal Crossing, it has Pokemon, it has Zelda, it has Mario, it has all of those franchises. It has everything when it comes to the big sellers, the system seller level games, whereas Wii U did not have a mainline Animal Crossing, it did not have a mainline Pokemon, it did not have a mainline Metroid, it did not have a mainline, well, new games, right? Not just virtual console stuff, but new entries in there. Whereas Nintendo Switch has all of those. It's got Animal Crossing, it's got Pokemon, it's got a bunch of Pokemon games. These are all games that are system sellers. You can't just have Mario and Zelda and work on those and then, okay, here we go, right? And heck, even with the Wii U, that didn't even have a brand new Zelda game until the very end. So that's the difference there. And I think Nintendo knows that, and that's the reason why that they combined their R&D. So I think that that last part was just kind of like whatever at that. And I don't think Nintendo's nervous. They just want to make sure that they launch it with what it needs to be successful. This isn't Microsoft, this isn't Sony. You don't just launch a system with not much to play and then say go buy third-party games. That type of strategy isn't going to work. The Wii U tried to do that, the 3DS tried to do that, and that is not a good idea. When Nintendo launches a new piece of hardware, and I think this is what Nintendo's thinking, because I feel that I'm right on this. Based off of what Mr. Lindman has to say here, this is something that I've already been saying for quite some time will be happening, that there will be no Switch Pro, they're working on Switch 2, and they're going to launch it when they're ready, right? So that would be 2024. That's not probably going to be 2023, but we're going to have to wait and see on that. But Nintendo wants to make sure that when they launch a system, that it has the software to move the hardware. Nintendo fans, yes, power is great. That's awesome. Everybody loves power, right? It's great to have the games run and look or whatever the case is. But it doesn't matter how much power you have into the system if it doesn't have the games to move the system. A lot of casual Nintendo fans will look at the next Switch and it can be more powerful, but if it doesn't have really cool games that get them excited to pick it up, they're not going to buy it. They're just going to be like, oh, well, I'll play my Switch. I'll just play that. I've got a bunch of games. I'll play that. Maybe when the price goes down, or maybe later when I feel like it, I'll go out there and pick it up. But it's not going to be a must buy unless there's must buy games. And if you rush out a system before those must-buy games come out, you're not going to get people just rushing out there for upgrades. Heck, that didn't even happen with PS4 Pro or Xbox One X. People didn't rush out to go buy those systems over the regular PS4. PS4 Slim and regular Xbox One S also sold much better or just as good as the more powerful hardware versions. Heck, Xbox Series S can sell better or is selling better than Xbox Series X. So it's not like power over determines everything when it comes to what consumers, especially casual consumers, are buying these days, and especially when it comes to Nintendo. Overall, especially when it comes to Nintendo. So for people trying to say that they have to release something because they have to do this, they have to do that, no, they don't. The Nintendo Switch is still selling incredibly well. Heck, I want a new Switch to come out. I think that it needs to, but I also want it to be successful. And I also want them to launch in an atmosphere that is good and conducive for growing, so we get more developer support, so we get that momentum that we need. If the Switch didn't sell, guys, if the Nintendo Switch did not sell, we wouldn't have gotten any of the cool games or a lot of the funding for a lot of these projects to be there. It would have flopped like the Wii U, then Nintendo would be in big trouble. So I don't want their next system or what they do next to be a flop. And if you wait this long, especially with the chip shortage that went down and also with COVID as well, I felt the time for the Nintendo Switch Pro was 2021. That should have been then at that point, but there were other factors, market factors like the chip shortage, like COVID, that probably stopped any of that of actually happening, which is still extending to this point with Nintendo not being able to manufacture as many Switch systems as they would like. Heck, it's a whole industry-wide type of problem that's happening right now. So if you look at it going forward, Nintendo is going to take their time. The Nintendo Switch is selling well enough. It's doing good enough to where they don't have to rush out something. It's not in any type of panic mode. They're selling incredibly well. If not, they've probably sold the most systems this year. They're selling a lot of software. They're making plenty of money. They're just fine for right now. Get that next system ready. Get the games ready. Get the next Xenoblade or the next big Monolith Soft IP. Get your Metroid Prime 4 ready. Get whatever you need. I think that's going to be a cross-gen game, by the way. But that's a video for another day. Get your games ready. Get a decent, solid launch lineup so you can launch the system, have some big games at launch, and then periodically throughout the year or throughout the next 7, 8, 9 months, if it crosses over to the next year, whatever the case is, have your games ready to go so you can have constant big hitters, just like the Nintendo Switch did and how it launched. And throughout 2017, there was constant big games that constantly pushed Nintendo fans, the casual consumer, to go out there and upgrade from their Nintendo 3DS to the Nintendo Switch. Without those big games that were coming out for the Nintendo Switch, that system wouldn't have sold. You needed all of those games like Splatoon and Mario Odyssey and Xenoblade and Zelda and all of those games in order for the system to sell. And with this next system, they want that same result. They don't want just some people upgrading like a new Nintendo 3DS at this point. They want people buying that next new system and having big software with it. That is a success that I see that Furukawa has stated, and what they talked about even in their investor meetings that people like to ignore, with the $1 billion investment that they put into next generation games, they put into gaming. That's not all just for current generation. They already got a lot of their current generation stuff already planned, ready to go, developed, and everything. It's about the next generation. When they told investors, hey, we got 1 billion that's going there, right? That's for the new games. So they want to make sure that that's what's happening. And from that point on, that's when I realized, okay, Furukawa, he's ready to go in terms of planning this next system and getting these games ready so when the system launches, it can be very successful. Not just an upgrade device for certain people, but for new fans to go out there and buy it, and then also for people who are just more of the casual fans, which make up a lot of the base of the Switch, for them to feel really, really strongly about the software to go out there and upgrade. Because otherwise, it's just going to be like, oh, well, I'll wait till something big comes out. So I think that's what's happening, but we're going to have to wait and see. I think that it's going to be interesting. You never know. Sometimes when it comes to Nintendo, they could have something ready to go in 2023. Maybe they announce it then, or it could be 2024, or it could be maybe after that. But I'm guessing, if I had to take a pick, if I had to guess what's going on here, I'd probably say that it's going to be a 2023 announcement and then a 2024 release at some point. So we'll see how it all works out. But either way, I think that what's going on here is actually the truth. I felt this way even before we heard about this rumor. And I think that the best course of action for Nintendo is to make sure that they finish this system, get all the features that you want, get the games ready to go, have a solid name, launch lineup, marketing deals, everything that you need to do to get this system to be successful. Take your time and get that done. Don't rush it out because of some videos or some bad market analysis or some faulty sales stuff. Don't rush it out for that. Get it ready to go, and then launch it so people can get excited about the new games that are coming to this system. So what do you guys think about the new rumor here, and also what I have to say? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and we will see you for the next video. Peace.